All right, my dear, take it away.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm so excited to be here with Alan Davidson today, and he's going to be sharing with us the Holy Grail for enlightening experts. And I can't wait to hear a little bit more about how that ties into all the things that I know I'm interested in around business and spirituality and just really the whole subject of how we can really be more of an enlightened entrepreneur than anything. And I remember one of the things Alan was sharing with me that he fuels the tipping point of human consciousness, and that 3% of the world population is just dancing around enlightenment as a way of being. And as that number of enlightened people grows to 6 or 7%, the problems that plague humanity now will dramatically shift. So this is why it's so important, because as the 10% of the world's population shifts into full enlightened consciousness, roughly the current population of Europe, a tipping point of transformation will make life on Earth a very different experience for those of us who follow this practice. So that's why this work is so important. One of the reasons I wanted Alan to share with us today. And just a little bit more about Alan, then I'll tell you how I know him. And he's really so well known in the world because Alan Davidson is the creator of the evolutionary meditation, of which I've been the recipient of recently, and it's really, really fabulous. And he's also the founder of ThroughYourBody.com. He authored a book, just an amazing book called Body Brilliance, Mastering Your Five Vital Intelligences. And it received the #1 best-selling health and wellness book award, and also the winner of 2 National Book of the Year awards. So you can, when you get this book, you really hold something special in your hands. He also serves as a board member on the Center of Integral Wisdom, along with such notables as Ken Wilber, Mark Gaffney, Barbara Marks Hubbard, Sally Kempton, Michael Bernard Beckwith, Jack Canfield, John Gray, John Mackey, who's the CEO of Whole Foods, and a host of other world-class spiritual teachers. And he has an is his background of study has been a BS with an emphasis on psychology, sociology, philosophy, and religion. And he's always been fascinated with the intersection of bodywork, psychology, and spiritual practice. Alan has taught massage, meditation, energy medicine, movement, and human transformation since 1990. So how I've gotten to know Alan was very different from all of these other wonderful ways that he is known in the world and what he's known for. And I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. But we actually, just to bait your curiosity a little bit, we actually met on the dance floor. So, but back to, some of Alan's really amazing experience. He has completed the Jeff Walker Product Launch Manager training, and he has helped over 70 entrepreneurs, A-listers at that, launch their products and marketing campaigns, and he's been doing this since 2009. In addition to that, Alan has done a whole crash course, he says, in business and marketing to launch his book, Brilliance, which hit #7 in the top 100 at Barnes& Noble. And he was named 2007 Glacier Kennedy. I don't know if you know who that is, but that is like the grandfather of, maybe the godfather of internet marketing world. But he got the 2007 Glacier Kennedy Inner Circle Houston Marketer of the Year for his savvy skills. So as you can tell, Alan's got a lot of diverse interests and abilities, and we're lucky to have him with us today. So, Alan, can I really tell him the real story of how we met?
Sure. Dive into it, sister. Dive into it.
it's it might not be on everybody's bio of how we met or either one of ours, but truthfully, Alan and I are really what I would call, from our world, a strategic synchronicity of meeting. And that ties into some of my work. That when you get clear and focused on who's a perfect fitting relationship, you begin to have interesting ways that you meet, synchronistic occasions. And that was certainly the case for Alan and I, in that we both had a similar interest in a dance technique called Nia. You might be familiar with that. And that's where we first met, on the dance floor. And so, who Alan is for me is somebody who is not only like a family member now, but a very great friend. And he's just an amazing, amazing person to be with. I had the pleasure of being a house guest of his just a couple of weeks ago in Houston, and with he and Jim. And it was just I just tell everybody that I was just made to feel so welcome. And so it's an honor to be able to be here with you today, Alan, and get a chance to welcome you to speak to some of my perfect customers, and who are all very excited to hear about what you have to say.
All right. Well, Jan, thank you. It's always a pleasure and privilege to be with you and share the spotlight with you, and to speak to our tribe, our strategic attraction and strategic synchronicity tribe. So thank you for the pleasure and privilege and opportunity.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, of course.
All right. Well, we're going to dive in here. So I am broadcasting from Houston, Texas. So these are a couple of examples of chat box. We use different systems here. So I'd like to, just make sure you can see and hear my screen, or see my screen, hear me. So if you just type a Y into the question box. And then I'm broadcasting from Houston, Texas, the shadow of downtown Houston. So I'd love for you to enter into the question box, comment box there, where you are listening in from. And just namaste to everyone here that's listening to my voice and that will hear my voice. It is really a pleasure and privilege to be with you. As Jan said, that embodied enlightenment is my thing. It's that's what makes me tick. And I'm a firm believer that the people on a genuine spiritual path are the people who are going to help create this tipping point in consciousness, but particularly the spiritual entrepreneurs, the people who I call enlightening experts, because not only are you doing this inner work for yourself, but then you touch everyone in your tribe, in your community. And so as this enlightenment ripples out, we create these waves and waves of consciousness that do create this tsunami of love, this tsunami of presence, this tsunami of embodied enlightenment that will change the world. So it really is a pleasure and privilege to be with you. So who is an enlightening expert? You're in the right place if you are a spiritual business owner who lives their life and runs their business with a core set of values, both personal and spiritual values grounded in truth, integrity, and compassion. An enlightening expert is committed to doing well while doing good. And an enlightening expert uplifts everyone that comes into contact with them, comes into contact with their business, and comes in contact with their marketing. We really are about raising the frequency in every way you can about everyone that comes into contact with you. Enlightening experts are experts pretty much in every field: healers, teachers, authors, speakers, coaches, live event leaders, online business owners, marketers, from the sort of health and wellness space of fitness coaches, health coaches, nutritionists, chiropractors, doctors, nurses, to massage therapists, yoga teachers, Nia teachers, meditation teachers, people who work with relationship, improving and optimizing and healing relationships, from attracting your perfect mate to healing the conflicts that people feel. All sort of mindset masters that help people overcome their limited thinking and limiting belief. any expert that helps people make new powerful choices and create new habits in their life, peak performance, and certainly spiritual connection, meditation, and any way to access the divine. So this broad spectrum of enlightening experts. So why should you invest the next 90 minutes of your time, attention, energy to be here? So very quickly, we're going to move into a soul clearing and activation experience. And the reason for that is that we can sort of all come together as a group so that we can show up and be as present as possible. And during this soul clearing and activation, we're going to start to clear the first level of energy blocks or karmic blocks that keep you stuck in old patterns of scarcity, resentment, and regret. And then we're going to move into the real content for today's training, and that's a very simple and elegant formula for your enlightening expert success, so that you can align all of your offers in your business with your soul. You can manifest your divine audience, and then you can really embody your own sacred success. And then we're going to dive into the 3 business mistakes. Jan told you that I have worked with and designed over 90 marketing campaigns for many top people that you'll know, and I'll introduce you to some of them as we go through the presentation. And these are the 3 mistakes that I see people make over and over and over and over again, and so I want you to avoid them. And then what are the 5 stages of an enlightening online biz, so that you can actually manifest and grow your business with courage and confidence. And then 5, what is that actual holy grail for every enlightening biz expert? And then what are the steps to actually having that holy grail and creating what I call an evergreen money tree for your business that is in alignment with your soul and in alignment with your divine audience. And then there is a stay to the end bonus. And that bonus is actually, it's an 81-minute training that I did with my friend Mark Porteous, and it's the 5 elements of a soul solid offer. We're going to talk a lot about offers, divine audience, and sacred success throughout the training, but this will take your understanding of a soul solid offer even deeper. So just to recap, the enlightenment, meditation, human transformation is my passion. I do sit on the Center of Integral Wisdom Board of Directors with John Mackey, Ken Wilber, Barbara Marks Hubbard, John Gray, who's another Histonian who's done very well, Jack Canfield, Michael Beckwith, Sally Kempton. And then there's my book, Body Brilliance. And the common denominator about all the people on our board of directors is that we are committed to transforming the source code of consciousness. How do we actually go into consciousness itself and transform all this pain and suffering and ignorance that we experience in the world and create this heaven on earth that we know is possible for humanity, the next stage of human evolution. But things were not always so fabulous for me. When I first moved to Houston in 1980, I worked in the nightclub industry, the gay nightclub industry, and I was an IV drug user. And so I tell people I was the ex-meth junkie, drag queen, and barge into the fabulous. And I was an IV drug user for 8 years. That's a long time to be a speed freak. And fortunately, in 1988, I did get clean and sober. And I had a little relapse in 1990, but I have been sober ever since. So I'm working on my 27th year of sobriety. So when I talk about healing the pain and the suffering and the old programming and the self-hatred, I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. And as Jan said, in 2009, I studied with Jeff Walker, and one of 49 people that he trained to manage and create strategies for his product launch formula. And I went on to be in his product launch manager platinum group. I went on to be one of 5 product launch coaches that he hired in his business at one point, and then I was on faculty for his high-level masterminds. So I've done a lot of work with Jeff to embody the promise of the product launch formula. And as Jan said, I've managed over 90 plus product launches and or marketing strategies, and all but one of them have been in the spiritual development world. So a lot. So let me just introduce you to a couple of my clients, and then we're going to dive into that soul healing and activation I promised you. This is Suzanne Evans, and when she was ready to launch her book, she hired me to come in and create the strategy for that. I've had this knack for working with people who are incredibly successful of selling from the stage, selling live, but they were never actually able to crack the online piece of it for their business. And so Suzanne, as an example, she had a multiple seven-figure business when she hired me, but that was all from live events. And so I went in and helped her design the strategy for her book. And she had 3 markers for success. She wanted to grow her subscriber list to X numbers. She wanted to have X amount of dollars in the bank. And then she wanted to be on the New York Times bestseller list. We hit all 3 of those markers for this campaign. She hit number 5 on the New York Times how-to bestseller list. And then this is Lisa Sasevich, the queen of sales conversions. Her signature product is how to create a signature talk that sells. And again, someone who was incredibly successful from selling from the stage and had multiple 7-figure business, but she had never cracked the online piece. And so she hired me to come in to design the 2014 Speak to Sell launch. And when we were all done, it was the single most successful online campaign at that time in her business. And then here is David Nagel, who is one of the top salespeople in the world, particularly using universal principles and universal law to manifest the business that you love and want. And he hired me to come in to design the marketing strategy and launch strategy for Art of Success 2. And when we were done, it was the single best converting offer in the 15-year history of his business at the time. So those are just a couple of my clients. So as I promised you, I'm going to give you 90 minutes of my absolute best. I'm shoehorning 11 plus years of my marketing expertise into this training, and I'm going to give you all that I can. And it really is the map that I wish I would have had when I started back in 2006. And then for those of you that want to go deeper with me, there will definitely be an invitation for the Enlightening Experts Funnel School at the end of this. So here's the first promise for you. It's a soul clearing and activation experience. I'm a firm believer of doing the inner spiritual transformative work to get the outer success. And my intention is so that we can all be present together as we go through the rest of the training, but it's also to help start to peel away those first levels of energy blocks and karmic blocks that keep you stuck in old patterns of scarcity, resentment, and regret. So as we do that, I just want to give you just a short framework on, I do a lot of work around the 5 intelligences. That's the basis of my book, Body Brilliance: the physical, emotional, mental, moral, and spiritual. And this is the map of the spiritual anatomy that I work with. Now, I would bet that most of the people on this training have heard of the 7 chakras, and that comes out of the tantric philosophy, the yogic philosophy from India. Well, this map actually comes from the Kriya Yoga tradition of Yogananda and Babaji. And it's a very old map that dates back to some of the earliest writings of the Rig Vedas, some of the oldest spiritual writings in the history of the world. And this map has certainly been updated and modernized for our time, but it says that not only do we have the 7 embodied chakras, but we have 15 subtle dimensions of consciousness, and we have 15 chakras. And so we're going to be working with healing and clearing all 15 dimensions and all 15 chakras. And so I just wanted to give you, since I'm going to walk through sort of and each of these 15 are grouped into sort of bands or frequencies of 3 chakras. I'm going to walk through them. And I'm hoping, Jan, if you're cool, that when we get ready to do the healing and clearing, that you'll be my partner with me on that. So the first 3 chakras are the incarnate identity. And it's important to realize that 94% of the world's population is still grounded, anchored, living in the lower 3 chakras, the instinctual, the emotional, and the mental self. So that means only 6% of the world can strategically or intentionally move up into the heart center. So this is and moving from those lower 3 chakras and crossing up into the heart is a major paradigm shift in consciousness. So the incarnate identity, and this is where most of the world thinks of, this is who they are in their waking everyday self. Now moving to the soul identity, that's chakras 4, 5, and 6. That is a subtler dimension of consciousness, the heart, the throat, the third eye of consciousness. We could spend an entire 5-day training unpacking all the information about who you are at soul level. But it is dimensions 4, 5, and 6, chakras 4, 5, and 6. When you're in the lower 3 chakras, we communicate through the body, through the emotions, and through the mind. Language, very specifically. But when you move to the 4th chakra and higher, the soul self and the higher self communicates with symbol, color, light. And so, and this particular symbol is called a Tribeca code. It's 3 circles, Tribeca, with a sacred symbol in the middle. And this particular symbol helps to activate and to clear all 15 dimensions, all 15 chakras. Now, moving from the soul level, chakras 4, 5, and 6, and moving to the 7th chakra, again, that's another major paradigm shift. 94% of the world's population lives in the lower 3 chakras. That means that 6% are living higher than that, but less than 1% of the world's population is at this amazing state of pure enlightenment, beautiful enlightenment. This is the oversoul identity. This is important to us today because if you believe in or subscribe to reincarnation, a lot of the karmic imprints that you carry with you from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime are stored in dimensions 7, 8, and 9, chakras 7, 8, and 9. So when you're doing clearing and healings, you want to be able to also clear things that are stored. I call them frozen light imprints, patterns that are stored here in these higher dimensions. And then the avatar identity, that's really moving into the supreme witness. This is dimensions 10, 11, 12. Chakras 10, 11, 12. Dimension 10 is Christ consciousness. Dimension 11 is Buddha mind. And the nirvanic self, or nirvanic consciousness, is the integration of that divine masculine, the divine feminine. Beautiful, beautiful state of awareness here. And then that final dimensions 13, 14, and 15 is your most radiant enlightened self. It's pure infinite stillness. It's oneness. It's non-dual awareness. So these symbols that we use help to clear all 15 dimensions. So this soul clearing and activation we're about to do is going to help you clear and activate every level of who you are at soul level. So since this is a business manifestation, I mean a business class, let's talk about your next 30-day financial goal. What do you intend to do in your Enlightening Expert business? What is your goal in the next 30 days? Today's June 1st, so on June 30th, the end of this month, what is your intention for earnings? And you can think in terms of how many people you want to serve in the next 30 days and what's the financial boon and reward that you're going to get. So if you're comfortable, enter into the comment box there what your intention is for your earnings in the next 30 days. And then we're going to move into the healing and the clearing. And let me just, okay, so, yeah, okay, so it's just us. So I want you to just take a moment, everyone, and I will be checking in on from my end here on the highest level of consciousness for everyone listening to my voice and everyone that will listen to my voice. So take a moment and look at this sacred symbol, noticing that infinity sign and that small circle that surrounds it, shimmering with platinum light, and then the 3 concentric circles that surround it, also shimmering with that platinum light. And when you're ready, closing your eyes and just checking and seeing this symbol in your mind's eye. That infinity sign shimmering with platinum light, that small sphere surrounding that infinity symbol. And then each of the 3 circles also shimmering with platinum light that surround that small sphere. And to see them as spheres, not just flat 2-dimensional, but now see them as multi-dimensional. Just giving you a moment, giving the group an opportunity then to really sense and experience this sacred symbol in your mind's eye. And with your breath and with your intention, now breathing that sacred symbol down the central vertical energy channel of your body, through the throat, through the heart, through the solar plexus, through the belly, through the pelvic bowl of your body, out, and actually with your breath and your intention, moving that sacred symbol through the earth's surface and through the layers and layers and layers of the earth until you come to the molten core of the earth, which is your 13th chakra, all of our collective 13th chakra. And just taking a moment to see this sacred symbol, multidimensional, shining with platinum light in the molten core of the earth, absorbing, saturated with the fierce, fiery potency of Mother Earth. And taking a moment to feel that energy. And now with a breath and your intention, breathing that sacred symbol up from the earth's core through the layers and layers and layers of the earth. And just noting as you're helping to heal and clear the meridians of your own body from all the different places in the world that we are, you are healing and clearing the energy meridians of the earth. Breathing up that sacred symbol through the layers and layers of the earth, out through the earth's surface, back into the pelvic bowl of your body. And now sense your root chakra illuminated with that fierce, fiery red energy of the earth. And breathing that sacred symbol up through the hara, illuminating now the solar plexus and coming to rest into your heart. Sensing this multidimensional sacred symbol shimmering with platinum light in your heart center. And that every level of your awareness, every level of your being is illuminated with this fierce, fiery, potent energy of the earth. And now with your breath and intention, moving that sacred symbol up the energy channel of your body, illuminating your throat, your third eye, your crown, and that sacred symbol moving exactly 36 inches above your head, the 14th chakra. And imagine now that this sacred symbol is in the center of a star burning as bright as 10,000 suns, the pure gold and white light of consciousness itself, burning away all that is not in alignment with the highest universal good. Seeing that sacred symbol saturated now with the pure white light of 10,000 suns. And breathing that sacred symbol down now, back into your crown, illuminating your crown, illuminating your mind's eye, illuminating your throat, and then coming together in your heart. And now sensing that symbol, multi-dimensional, shimmering with platinum light, and radiating, illuminating every level of your awareness and every level of your being with that light of 10,000 suns. Superconscious mind, connecting to the superconscious mind of everyone listening to my voice and everyone who will listen to my voice. Superconscious mind, it is safe and appropriate to do a soul clearing and activation for everyone listening to my voice and everyone who will listen to my voice. Yes. It is commanded in the name of divine love that this sacred symbol and this sacred breath be used to clear the source of all blocks that hinder their financial manifestation goal for the next 30 days. And that the source of those blocks and the source of the energies and emotions that drive those blocks all be evolved and transmuted into their true essence of gold and liquid light. And that every level of awareness, every level of being, flow freely and completely in the infinite ocean of divine light and love. Ta'asian Tadoi. And the energy just starting to move through the group, the first layers of blocks peeling away. Energy just a little stuck there. And there it goes. That first layer of energy blocks cleared, knowing that we've just done the first layer, and this process will continue to unfold over the next 72 hours, particularly even up to the next 7 days. So, okay. Superconscious mind, there are now dormant soul energies, divine soul energies available for activation. Yes. There are blocks that hinder the activation of divine soul energies for everybody listening to my voice. Yes. It is commanded in the name of divine love that the source of all blocks that hinder the activation of divine soul energies to their full capacity for everyone listening to my voice and everyone who will hear my voice. And the emotions and the energies that drive those blocks all be evolved and transmuted into their true essence of gold and liquid light. And that every level of awareness, every level of being flow freely and completely in divine light and love. Now, Ta'asian Tadoi. clearing for those blocks for the group, moving very quickly. It is commanded in the name of divine love, the golden liquid realms and the alchemical powers, this sacred symbol and this sacred breath be used to activate all divine soul energies to their full capacity for everyone listening to my voice and everyone who will listen to my voice. Now. And there, that first layer of activation is complete. So that sort of completes this phase of the soul clearing and activation. So I'd love to hear from you. What are you sensing? What do you notice if you'd enter something in the comment box, the question box there of what do you sense? What do you notice? Just coming back, opening your eyes, inviting all of you back into 3D reality, into your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit. And if you care to share what your experience was, please go ahead and enter that in the question box. And we're going to dive into our training here. So the next step, now that we are all present and connected, is the simple and elegant Enlightening Expert Success Formula. So you can align your biz offers with your divine audience and embody your own sacred success. So having been around the online success space for a very long time, since 2006, the online gurus will tell you that your prescription for online success is a crushing offer, your target audience, and massive sales. Well, I can tell you, having been around since 2006, I've seen a lot of, millionaires, multimillionaires, a lot of very successful online marketers. And I've seen online marketers make millions of dollars, lose millions of dollars, make millions of dollars, lose millions of dollars. And one of the trends that I see that's very encouraging is that finally a lot of these online marketers are waking up to it's not about the money. There's something more important than the money. And so there's got to be a meaning, there's got to be a purpose to that. So here's the Enlightening Expert version of this success formula. It is your soul offers that are created that are 100 in alignment with the highest universal good and who you are at soul level, in alignment with your soul purpose. And when you have that, and then you are manifesting what I call your divine audience. It can be your perfect customers, your ideal client, your divine audience. Then you have what I call your sacred success, and your sacred success squared. So let's just sort of unpack that, and how I plan to do that is sort of going through the top mistakes that I see people make over and over. And as we move into that, here is another example of two of my clients, Jack Canfield and Pamela Bruner. They actually did a launch for their Tapping into Ultimate Success, and then they called me in to do, to help salvage, to rework the launch and the sequence. And so I had the pleasure and privilege of serving both of them. And this is a classic example of creating a product and a program in alignment with your soul, knowing who your divine audience is, and then having that sacred success. Because it was a 7-figure launch. It was $1 million launch for that. So the way I want to dive into helping explain and helping you understand this formula is to look at the 3 mistakes that people make, and they are around your soul offers, your divine audience, and your sacred success. So let's just dive into those. The number one mistake that I see people make is that your offers are not aligned with your soul purpose. Somehow you had the great idea that you wanted to take your expertise online, but then you listened to someone, you trusted an external authority who was not in alignment with who you are at soul level. And they told you need to find a niche that people, were starving to spend money in. And so somehow you've gotten the advice to create a business and an offer and a product and a program, and it isn't aligned with who you are at soul level. So that's a number one mistake that I see people make. The other is, we're going to talk about divine audience in a moment, is that they spend a tremendous amount of time on, building a list, as we say. That's the lingo in this industry. And people spend a year working on a website and getting a free bribe and getting an email service and an autoresponder, and they'll spend 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, just trying to build a list, build your audience, your divine audience, but they never ever have a real offer to make to them. And I see that as a tragic mistake. So that's trusting an external authority that is in alignment with your soul purpose. So I do a lot of work around fully enlightened, fully embodied self, and that is fully enlightened and fully embodying your soul purpose. And there's a lot to, as I said, who you are at soul level. In addition to your universal soul purpose, there's your unique soul purpose. There's your soul mission, your soul message, who your divine audience is, a lot. So let's look at just the 5 basic unique soul purposes that I see enlightening experts have. And it falls into alignment with the 5 profit areas that people will actually invest in. And the first one is health and wellness. And that is, fitness coaches, chiropractors, nutritionists, massage therapists, yoga teachers, dance teachers, anybody that's helping to transform health and wellness and the body. The second is love and relationship, coaches, therapists, psychotherapists, psychoanalysts, law of attraction coaches helping people, attract the perfect mate, that sort of thing. The third area is money with meaning. Now that can be business consultants, marketing consultants, how law of attraction, how you manifest money, but that's in alignment with your own higher meaning, your own soul purpose. Peak performance, that is helping people, whether they are athletes or musicians or artists or even leadership, leaders, to embody who they are at their peak performance. And then that 5th area of unique soul purpose is helping people with their spiritual connection, helping them to connect to who they are at soul level, who they are in their most enlightened self, meditation, spirituality, chakras, all of that broad spectrum. So those are sort of the 5 broad categories of unique soul purpose as they relate to enlightening experts. And I'm here to tell you that these are all areas that people will invest really good money to train with you and study with you and to invest in the transformation that you provide. This is Stephen Russell. He is one of my very first clients. He's also known as the Barefoot Doctor. He is the United Kingdom's #1 Tai Chi teacher, Taoist teacher, and inner martial arts master. And I helped him design his school for Warriors 1, 2, and 3. Now, a lot of people will tell you, oh, you can't make money in spiritual connection. Well, here is a great example of somebody who has created a wonderful life and online business selling spiritual connection. The embodiment, the Taoist principles of health and enlightenment. Okay, so that sort of the mistake people make around their offers. So now let's look at mistake number 2, your divine audience. And because it's basically that you're talking to people who are not your divine audience. You are, I call it, to be crude, you're throwing your pearls before swine. You're trying to chase down and get people's attention who can't or won't ever invest in the transformation that you provide. So, if you have the sense of you've got a list or you've got a group of people that you keep talking to and they're not investing with you, they're not your divine audience. I'm a firm believer that when you were born, that you had embedded at soul level a list, a divine audience of people that you are destined to help. Now, some of those people can absolutely learn the lessons that they need and be helped by other teachers, other professionals, other experts, other masters, absolutely. But there's some of your divine audience that can hear it best, or maybe even only hear it from you. And so it is so important for you to get crystal clear in who you are, what your offer is, and who you serve. Because when you do that, your divine audience can go, oh, she's talking about me, he's talking about me, tell me more about that. So the mistake I see people making over and over is they're talking to people who are not their divine audience. They're wasting their breath, their time, attention, energy, and chasing after somebody who is just never going to invest. So that's where knowing who your divine audience is. What are their qualities, characteristics, and attributes? So here's an example of one of my clients that really understood this. And this is Marcia Weeder. She hired me to help do all the online marketing for the Wealthy Visionary Conference in 2013, and then to do all the online marketing for selling the DVDs afterwards. And Marcia was really clear who she wanted in those seats. The hearts and minds of the people in those seats were people who were committed to doing well and doing good. They were visionaries around consciousness and the evolution of consciousness, and they were also committed to being experts. She manifested over 400 people in that conference, and it was a multiple 7-figure success. So knowing who your divine audience is and having an offer that's in alignment with them is really essential. Mistake number 3 is around sacred service. So many people have what I call an enlightening hobby, a very expensive enlightening hobby, instead of an enlightening business. They don't have the principles. They're not doing the inner work to clear the blocks and resistance to them getting clear on their vision and their strategy. And so they're playing small. It's a part-time hobby for them. So what I want to ask is, how many people did you serve in the last 30 days? We're just at the end of the month here. How many people did you get to serve? Now, that could be people that were uplifted by a post on social media, Facebook, Twitter, something like that. It can be an email that you sent to your subscriber list, where people uplifted, where they helped, where they served in some way. That's beautiful. And when I talk to enlightening experts over and over and over, the number one thing that we say to ourselves, to each other, to the world is, I'm here to make a difference. I want to change the world. I want to help. I want to transform people. That's the number one reason we do what we do. And that's absolutely beautiful. And that's absolutely important that that's embedded into our business. But if that's all we're doing, it's still a hobby. So what distinguishes an enlightening biz, and I'll remind you that I said that an enlightening expert is somebody who uplifts everyone that comes into contact with them, their business, their marketing. So that's your subscribers, that is your customers, that is your vendors, that is your affiliate partners, it's the person at the dry cleaners or the grocery store. Literally everybody you come into contact is uplifted. But in regards to your business, how many paying customers did you get to serve in the last 30 days? Very, very important distinction between, oh, I'm making a difference because people are reading my emails and they're being helped, to know how many paying customers did I get to serve. And then what were your cash goals for the last 30 days? And did you meet them? Did you meet your financial goal? Yes or no? You know, and if you put yes or Y in the comment box there and share that with us, I'd appreciate your vulnerability and your honesty. So here is an example of one of my clients. This is Rich Gurman. He hired me to help launch his book, Monetize Your Passion, and then launch his program, the Monetize Your Passion Toolkit. But he was very, very committed to service, and he was the director of the Generation Y charity, which is committed to helping homeless teenagers in America. And so we built into actually the very front of his book promotion funnel or sequence a chance for people to donate. And so we gave away a free copy of his book. People were invited to donate and then to invest in a physical copy of the book, or just to take the e-version of the book. And in that promotion, within 30 days, we raised $49,000 plus. It was almost $50,000 for his charity. So, and Rich is still dedicated to that. He's now focusing on what he calls Project O, which is the ocean, and making the coastlines of all of California a protected coastline, and the beautiful fishes, the dolphins, the whales that are in the ocean there. So those are the three mistakes that I see people make. So I talked about the Enlighten Expert online formula, sold offers, in alignment with your divine audience, and your sacred success. And then we looked at the three mistakes that I see people make around soul, offers, divine audience, and sacred success. And now let's look at the 5 stages of an enlightening online business, so that you can manifest and grow your business with courage and confidence. So the first stage is really you being an expert in your corner of the world. It's the mastery that you have brought to your work at this point. And it's you just cracking the code on whatever specific transformation that you help people with. And it's really your reason for being here on the planet. It's your unique soul purpose. Now, whether you are conscious of it or not, you have pretty much a signature process that you take people through to get that transformation. And so you have a particular process. You have a number of skills in your toolkit that you help people with, and in your own way you help them get clear on their vision, you help them to remove and clear any blocks, and you help them develop new strategies and new skills to embody the health, the wealth, the well-being, the love, the peak performance, the spiritual connection that they say that they want. Now, in the perfect world, you already have a sales process. You know how to get people in for one-on-one experiences or even live group experiences. And so you have some sort of a signature talk where, whether you're giving that enrollment conversation one-on-one with a person, or you're doing it as a talk live in people's living rooms or the YMCA or networking events or whatever, you have a way to get people into your business. It's how you sort of become a master at what you do. Now, at this level, a bonus would that be that you do have a website, and extra bonus is that you've got a website where you do have a free bribe and a way to take people's names and email addresses and communicate with them. So that's sort of, the basics of stage one of you being an expert. And this is an example of one of my Enlightening Expert students. This is Rebecca Eigen. When she first started studying and working with me and then a group of other experts, she fancied herself an astrologer. Now, she had been studying astrology for 20 years. She had also been studying depth psychology and shadow work for 20 years. And she had a story in her mind that, she can only charge, $150 for an astrology reading. And her thing was the most successful astrologers in the entire world only charge $350 maximum for a reading. And with a little bit of tweaking and shifting and doing some clearing and activation at soul level, she was able to understand that astrology is a tool. Depth psychology and shadow work is a tool that she uses. She really helps people who are in conflict in the important relationships of life, whether they're lovers or married partners and couples, whether it's parents and children, whether it's people that work together. She helps people resolve conflicts by understanding their astrological and their emotional shadow patterns. And so after working with us, she was able to step through and say, oh, I'm a relationship alchemist. I help people heal the conflicts in their life. And she was able to create a package where now she does 3 readings. She does one for each person in the conflict, so like the husband and the wife. And then she does a reading of them together. So she sells a package of the 3 sessions, and she sells that for $750. And it's completely transformed her understanding of herself. So that's you being able, as an expert, to understand exactly how you help and transform people and how you can start to create packages and experiences that, this tripled the income of her business, just being able to do this. Okay, so here's step number 2. Once you're an expert in your corner of the world, you want to be able to create an online signature course. That's you being able to take that signature process that you take people through and teach it online so that you can start to affect and impact people who are around the world and not just in your corner, in your backyard, in your town, in your community, your neighborhood. And that's an important shift. It's a paradigm shift in courage and confidence to realize, oh, I really can do this. And then when you have that, I'm a firm believer in being able to pre-sell your signature course, so you know that there's a demand, you know that there's a need for it, and so then you teach the course and you sort of hone that and perfect it a few times, and then you've got something online that is an introduction to you, your worldview, your basic toolkit of transformation and healing. And so you can sell that wherever you're at, wherever you're speaking, wherever you're meeting people, wherever, online in your website, in your business, you've got a sequence for selling your online course, and you don't even have to be there to deliver it. It's all automated. So here's an example of one of my Enlightening Expert students from my signature course creation school, and she created the couples money matrix, 7 steps to end your money conflicts and make room for more love. And the very first time she offered it, she was able to pre-sell it. She sold 15 students into her course, and then she delivered it to them knowing that there was an interest for it. So that's Ina Bachman. I'm just so proud for her. All right, so here's step number 3. It's like, okay, you've got a signature course. So now how do I create an online platform for selling that? And that is a webinar just like this one. It's a training just like this one, where you create a platform. So whether it's GoToWebinar or Zoom or Webinar Jam, doesn't matter. You have a way to invite your divine audience, your subscribers, your community, your network to come for a training. And on that training, you make an invitation to them to invest in your signature course. That is the first number one skill at stage 3 here, is creating an online webinar or online signature talk that sells. And once you have that, you can create an online webinar for every single one of your offers that you have. And then ultimately you want to be able to start creating how do you do that on automated? How do you have this set up on automatic so that when you meet a new potential partner at a mastermind or a networking event, they can email their subscribers about the good news about you and your work and your training? Or you start to run Facebook ad campaigns or Google ad campaigns, and you're driving people to your online training, and it's running day after day, making sales for you. So that's really that step number 3. And the thing about a webinar is that it will help you at stage number 1. So even if you don't have your signature course yet, it will help you sell your coaching packages. That's where Rebecca Eigen is, the relationship alchemist, the astrologer and shadow expert that I told you about. She doesn't have an online course yet, but she's using webinars to sell her coaching packages to couples in conflict. Or if you want to sell strategy sessions or offer a free strategy session to people to come and have an experience with you, and then you can sell them to your work. You can offer a training like this with strategy sessions. Or if you've got a live event that you're doing, you can offer an online webinar like this. So no matter what stage of your business you're at, learning to create an online talk that sells is an important, wonderful skill. And then there is that stage 2. How do you sell your signature course? And then that stage number 2 on steroids is that evergreen webinar, that money tree selling your signature course 24/7. So even in the background, without you doing a live training, there are people that are going and hearing a pre-recorded training webinar that you do. Now here's an example of one of my funnel school graduates, Lori Layden, PhD. You might have heard of her. She is the creator of the Grace process. She's the founder of Create Global Healing, and particularly Project Light. She gets a lot of attention for Project Light Rwanda, and now she's working in Project Light Australia. And in Rwanda, she worked extensively with orphans and widows of the genocide. Now she's working in Australia, particularly in the outback with the Aborigines. Aboriginal teenagers have the highest suicide rate of any population in the entire world. And she's bringing the Grace process and EFT tapping and her healing modalities to those communities. But she wanted to create a course for the Grace process, and she created her very first webinar to sell her online training, the Grace process, and she enrolled 30 people in the very first time that she did her webinar series. She did the same webinar, offered it several times, created an online course, and she made $10,000 in her very first rollout of this, of taking her incredible expertise, but it was the first time she'd done all this online stuff. There was a learning curve, absolutely. She learned a lot. So that's Lori Layden. So step number 4 is, okay, you're an expert in your corner of the world, you've created a signature course, you've got a platform for selling that course, and maybe even now you're selling that 24/7. Every day, people have a chance to invest in your training and programs. The next question is, how do people continue to work with you? Your divine audience, and you know that an introductory course, a 4-week to an 8-week signature course, introducing people to you, your worldview, your basic toolkit, can give them an amazing transformation, but it's probably not enough to embody the possibility and probability that you know is possible for them in their lives. And people understand that. And as long as you give them a wow experience and you give them a deep drink and a deep taste of the transformation you know is possible, they're going to say, hey, how do I go deeper? How do I embody this healing that you're offering here? And that's where you need an advanced course. So usually a signature course can be anywhere from $97 to $997, somewhere in that range. Your advanced courses, if they're 90 days of training with you, 6 months, a year of training with you, whatever that looks like, that can be anywhere from $497 to $2,000 to even $5,000. So what's an advanced training for people to go deeper and deeper into your work? Now, this is an example of Dr. Rita Marie Lascazo from Austin, Texas. She's one of my recent clients and success stories. She is the creator of the Sweet Spot Solution. She really helps people reverse insulin resistance and diabetes. She's an expert and known for that. She calls it plant-powered paleo. That really helps people reverse insulin resistance. And that's her introductory program to the everyday person. But she also has a whole advanced 2-year certification program on nutritional endocrinology. And two of the foundational pillars of that are digestive mastery and insulin resistant mastery. And those are, $1,200 trainings that health coaches and health experts can take to go become the best known experts in their corner of the world. And so Rita Marie hired me to help with the Sweet Spot Solution and then to do a whole promotion for digestive mastery and for then insulin resistance mastery for professionals. So she's somebody who understands you need an introductory signature course, and then you've got an advanced training. And then, if they do the digestive mastery or the insulin resistance mastery, then they have an invitation to move up and take the whole 2-year training and become a nutritional endocrinologist. Okay. Now, stage number 5. And this is sort of where most people, they hear about product launches. They hear that, in a few weeks' time, you can grow your subscriber list by tens of thousands, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 people in a couple of weeks, that you can make, a year's worth of sales in 7 days. They hear all the great advantages of a product launch. And I can't tell you how many people since 2009 that I've heard who want a strategy session with me because they want to do a product launch. Now, I accept almost every invitation or request that somebody makes to do a strategy session with me. That's part of me being of service to help people. But this whole map that I'm sharing with you came from all the people that were at stage 1 who wanted to do a product launch. And they simply weren't ready yet. They didn't have the assets. They didn't have a signature course. They didn't have an advanced course. If you're going to put all the money, the time, the attention, the energy and do a product launch, you want to maximize it for everything you possibly can. So once you've got all these first 4 stages in place, then you are ready to consider an actual product launch. And yeah, you can do exponential growth. You can transform your business. Whether you do a big launch once a year or a couple times a year or even every quarter, it will rock your world. But product launches by themselves are not a complete business strategy either. So there are lots of assets in place. But I will tell you, every single product launch that I've designed, they've had some sort of a online signature talk that sells. They've got a webinar, basically, that helps them to do that. So the holy grail for every enlightening expert biz is basically this step number 3, stage number 3. It's having the skill to create a best-selling webinar for every single one of your offers that you have in your business. And then once you have that skill and once you have a best-selling webinar, particularly for your signature program, you always want to make sure you've got a best-selling webinar for your signature program, your introduction to people with your philosophy, your worldview, your basic healing, your basic transformation. And then you want to automate that. You want to put it on so that it's ready to go at the drop of a hat. New affiliates can send traffic to it. New partners can send their peeps and subscribers and followers to your training. And then you can start to do Facebook ads and Google ads to that. When you've got that, when you have that in place, you are earning the income. You're growing your list with new subscribers. You're growing new customers and clients. And it's happening automatically day after day, week after week, month after month. Then you can really turn your attention to scaling your business and having the genuine impact that you have, whether that impact is in your city, whether that impact is in your state, whether that impact is in your country, or whether it's around the globe. Whatever that impact is, it frees you up financially and energetically to start to look at stepping into who you are destined to be at soul level. So here's an example of one of my students. She happens to be one of my absolute favorite people in the world. She hired me to manage and design all of her marketing strategies, and she's become one of my closest friends. This is Margaret Lynch, and she hired me originally to design the strategy for the 7 levels of wealth manifestation. It was working with chakras and money blocks and helping people manifest their prosperity. We went on to then to design the Tapping into Wealth book launch, promotion for her book with Archer Penguin. And then her first ever Tapping into Wealth Coaches training program. And I told her at the time, Margaret, this is going to become your flagship program. And it has. And now she really is in the coaching certification business. And that's what she focuses on. But she has, that's that sequence that I told you about. Having a signature course, the 7 levels of wealth manifestation. Having an advanced program, Tapping into Wealth coaching, and then doing product launches. And she works with that network of very successful online entrepreneurs who are in the personal development, spiritual development, coaching industry to do product launches. So she's embodied this whole process that I've talked about. Okay, so now I want to dive into what are the sort of steps and stages that you need to craft a best-selling webinar for yourself. And in the sense that each best-selling webinar is going to be unique and different for each of your offers. You have an offer that's in alignment with your soul, and you have a particular part of your divine audience that is in alignment with that offer. And as you have multiple offers, they'll have different parts of your divine audience that are in alignment with those different offers. So you have to have a sales process for each unique offer. And so it's you really learning how to create that for yourself. And then once you have that, then how do you automate it? How do you create what we call an evergreen best-selling webinar sequence for yourself? So step number 1, and it goes back to that success formula, your soul offer in alignment with your divine audience. It's how do you make sure that they are congruent? And again, if you don't get that right, you're never ever going to get the scalable success that you want and deserve. So the tip for that is, 1, making sure that your offer is in line with your soul. Now, if you know dowsing or muscle testing or reading energy signatures, that's the simplest way to say this offer is in alignment with my highest universal good. And then, crafting that offer for your divine audience. So it takes some time to do that, but it's the best work you'll ever do in your business. And when you crack the code on that, it opens the door. Your divine audience will forgive so many mistakes or blunders or errors that you could make in your business, and particularly in your online. Um, because if you are in alignment with your soul and you're being authentic and you're being real, they will forgive a lot of things because they are ready to be with you and learn from you and transform with you and invest with you. Now, the number two is each of you registered for today's training. So there is a way to maximize the registration of your divine audience for your training. And I'm very, very proud to say, between the energy and the subject line that got you to open an email, the email that you read, the energy of the opt-in page or squeeze page or lead page, as it's often called, we had amazing statistics on the people who raised their hand and said, yeah, I want to know about this Holy Grail for enlightening experts. Now, here's a little tip. To boost that, you can also include like a free report or a free ebook on the topic. And then once they've opted in for that, you can say, hey, I'm doing this deep dive 90-minute training. Do you want to do that? One of the strategies that I see working really well now, someone will write a book. Like Rich Gurman wrote his book on Monetize Your Passion. That's an example. People opt in for the free book, and it was a 200-page book. And, today, the version of that would be, okay, I'm doing a Monetize Your Passion deep dive webinar training. And so, do you want to register for that? They've raised their hand, they showed their interest, and then you get them to enroll in the webinar. That's just one tip. Okay, maximizing the attendance with your divine audience. So the reality is that if you have 100 people or 1,000 people who register for your training, and 1,000 people have registered for this series of Holy Grail webinar trainings, I'm so pleased to say, only a percentage of them are going to actually show up and be live on the training. Usually in the industry, it's somewhere between 10 and 20%. That means if 90 people raised their hand and said, I'm interested in what you're doing, but only 10 people show up or 20 people show up, a small percentage who don't make it. So it's like, what can you do to make sure that as many people attend as possible? Well, here's one thing that we understand at this point. Only promote your webinar 4 days out. 2, 3, 4 days to get the most people to show up. Now, you can start promoting it 2 weeks ahead of time or a week ahead of time, but here's what we know. The people who register 2 weeks out before a training forget about it. They moved on. They don't show up. So the closer you are to the actual live event of your training, or even if it's a pre-recorded, you want them to register and then have a chance to show up within 4 days. That maximizes the attendance. And then number 4, you maximize engagement of your divine audience. So there are a number of ways to do that. I've used several with you today. Offer a free gift for those who stay to the end, which is what I did for sure. So, that's what I've offered for you guys, is a free gift for those who stay to the end on the 5 elements of a soul solid offer. That's one way to keep people engaged. Another is keep asking engaging questions. Offer world-class content. You don't want to invite people to a training and give them a mediocre experience. They don't have a great experience with you, and they're not going to stay with you. They're going to sign off. Now, how do you maximize sales to your divine audience? Well, one of the things that we know is that people love to buy, but they don't like to be sold to, particularly in the spiritual entrepreneur space. We love to buy, but we hate to be sold to. So one, you have to show over and over and over the value of who you are and the transformation you provide, and you also want to share the stories of people who've worked with you and gotten that transformation, and their lives are specifically and measurably different and better. And part of that is reminding people that why they're suffering or stuck or not able to change, to transcend their old programming of lack and scarcity and limitation. So, part of creating a best-selling webinar is to weave all those elements into it. And then the follow-up after the webinar training itself, there are a number of things. Only 5 to 10% of the people that are actually on your webinar are going to invest with you. That means that the 90% of the people who are on the webinar, and the say 90 people that weren't on the webinar or more, that never made it to the webinar, raise their hand, are interested in you and what you're teaching and your transformation, still haven't had the opportunity or the invitation to buy yet. So how do I maximize that? So one of the things that I do is, most people ask about a replay. Is there a replay for this? I rarely offer replays. I always do live encores, because there's an energy and a transmission between me and the audience and me. We create, when we did that soul healing and clearing earlier, we created a container of energy and love and healing and connection that went all around the planet for all the hearts, all the spirits that were connected. And you just can't, duplicate that very well. So I do these live encores. That's one tip. Another is, you can send people a Cliff Notes version. So we're doing a 90-minute training here. Maybe you can do a 20-minute version where you really just hit the highlights and then unpack one thing in your video. You give them a Cliff Notes version, but then you make your invitation. So here are those 6 steps of every best-selling webinar. And I'll remind you that of all the 90 different launches and sales promotions that I've designed, every single one of them had a best-selling webinar, a best-selling sales presentation as part of the success for each of those promotions. So it's maximizing your soul offer for your divine audience. It's maximizing the registrations of your divine audience, maximizing the attendance, maximizing the engagement, maximizing the sales, and then maximizing the follow-up of your divine audience. So there is an art and a science to creating these best-selling webinars. So that's the template, that's the recipe for them right there. Now, this is an example of another one of my clients. This is Ted McGrath, and he has a program called Message to Millions. It's how you take your particular story and build a business around your hero's journey. And again, he was someone who spoke from the stage and had a multiple 7-figure business, but had never cracked an online promotion, the success of an online promotion. And he hired me to design the online strategy for that. We actually had 2 big sales events during his opening, and within basically 2 weeks, he sold $1.3+ million of his Message to Millions program, and it was all because of all the elements that we've talked about here, and having a best-selling webinar to open and a best-selling webinar or experience at the end to close. So we're sort of coming in and honing in on the end of our content here. And I just wanted to check in with you and to show you why it's important to crack the code on offering a best-selling webinar, creating the skill of creating a best-selling webinar, and remembering that a webinar will help you to, even if you're at stage one of your business, selling your coaching packages, your healing packages, offering free strategy sessions or selling strategy sessions with you, and or your live events. Creating an online webinar will help you do that. And then certainly if you've got a signature course or other online courses, you can create a best-selling webinar for each of those. So here is a reality check for you. What were your financial goals for the last 30 days? And then what were the actual dollars that you earned in the last month? And are you in the black? Did you earn more than you actually set your intention for, your manifestation for, or were you in the red for that? And whatever that gap is between your intention and your dream and your desire and what you actually earned and put into the bank last month, whatever that gap is, the space between those two numbers, that's the cost of you not cracking the code on this, not figuring it out. So as we close, the reasons that you are still struggling in your Enlightening Expert business is basically your vision is not clear on who you are, how you transform people, and what your intentions are for your business. What are the specific and measurable goals in your business? You just don't have a clear vision. And two examples of that: your offers are out of alignment with your soul, or you're not talking to your divine audience. Those are symptoms of not having a crystal clear vision. You don't have a way to clear the energy blocks and old programming that keep you in confusion, that keep you in inaction, that keep you grasping after shiny object after shiny object. And you don't have a way of activating all of your dormant soul energies to then be able to serve you and help you manifest this vision for your Enlightening Expert business. And then the third reason is that you don't have a clear strategy. I call it the curse of obscurity. You're not getting your soul offers in front of the right hearts and eyes of the people who are really ready to invest with you. Or you don't have the required skill set that you need to scale your business. So having a crystal clear vision, having a way to clear the blocks and activate soul energy, and then not having a strategy. Those are the main reasons I see people struggling. So my intention for our time today is to give you sort of this roadmap that what I've seen in the Enlightening Expert space over and over and over again, and how you can short circuit a lot of the pain and the limitation and the suffering and the confusion and the time that it takes to grow your business. So that really completes the free part of our content and our training. And if that's all that you're here for, fabulous, blessings. This is part of my service. This is how I uplift everyone around me and everyone that comes in contact with me. I hope it was helpful to you. If you're interested in going deeper and working more with me, then this is where we begin our invitation. So again, a reminder, your webinar, your online training sells your coaching packages, strategy sessions, live events. It will also help you to sell your signature course, and then that holy grail of really creating an evergreen webinar, an automated, working day after day, month after month, selling your signature course. And the cost of not figuring it out. And then I want you just to take a moment to imagine what it would be like for you in your life, what it would be like for you, what it would be like for your business, what it would be like for your divine audience, what it would be like for your family, what it would be like for maybe the employees or the vendors you have in your business, for you to figure this out and to step into your personal power and your spiritual authority, and to really own yourself as an expert and own yourself as a successful enlightening expert in the world, and using these online tools to really serve you. What would it be like to you to embody this level of success and expertise? Imagine having your own evergreen sales webinar working 24/7, making weekly, even daily sales for you and your business, growing your subscriber list, growing your customer list. The primary goal of this Enlightening Expert Funnel School is for you to create your very own sales webinar that sells your signature offer, whether that's a coaching package or as a signature course, to your own tribe, to affiliate partners, and eventually to Facebook and Google ad traffic. Now you've got a choice facing you. And choice number one is to take the notes. I hope you took copious notes. I did my best to really, really give you some meaty, juicy content, and to take what I shared with you, and you can go out on your own and you can do your best. And as I said, blessings to you. If that is the next right soul step for you, blessings. But then you can also have a second choice. And I like to think it's the wiser choice, and it's to let me work with you, let me help you, let me support you in this. This invitation is for the enlightening experts who are ready to create their own best-selling webinar as a foundation of your online success. It is for the enlightening experts who are ready for a successful online biz that meets every marker of success. It maximizes your sales. It maximizes the number of customers. It maximizes the dollars earned. It maximizes the lives transformed. It maximizes the number of subscribers who are engaged with you and your wisdom. It maximizes the time that you have in your life, time for solitude and meditation, time for those important intimate relationships in your life, time to travel. So if you're ready for that, I want to tell you that this work is not for sissies, as I like to say. To have this kind of level of success is it requires that inner work for the outer results. And this Enlightening Expert Funnel School is not a magic bullet. There's no secret handshake. There's no I'm a firm believer in manifestation and clearing and healing and activating and taking inspired action, but there is no magical, secret, magical thinking to this. It's you stepping into your most enlightened, most radiant self and taking the inspired actions from that place, manifesting from that place. And this is this is probably my favorite fortune cookie that I've ever gotten. None of the secrets of success will work unless you do. And that's you working at your most enlightened, most embodied, most radiant, most fabulous. And I actually have this fortune cookie. I've saved it for years and years. It's actually on my altar. So just a couple of more introductions before we move into the invitation. This is Sheila Paxton. She is an alumni from the Enlightening Expert School. And when Sheila and I had our strategy session together, she had an idea for a business. She had an idea. And I was able to understand that she is a go-getter and she's a manifester and she takes action. She came to Enlightening Expert Launch School, actually. And during launch school, she completely designed her course and completely designed her promotion strategy for launching her course. And she left. And within 90 days, she had had a successful promotion of her course. She was teaching it and delivering it. And within the end of 12 months from that, she had a multiple six-figure business from the course. So it was a really good idea, but she took action on that. Again, reminder, a reintroduction to Lori Layden. Um, the, she created the Grace Process online training. She developed her first online course, her first best-selling webinar, and earned $10,000 first time out of the gate. So the Enlightening Experts Funnel School includes 8 live online training sessions so that you can maximize your soul offer with your divine audience, maximize your webinar registrations, maximize your webinar attendance, maximize your webinar engagement, maximize your webinar sales, and then maximize the follow-up sales for your divine audience. This training, this Enlightening Expert Funnel School, is limited to 12 students, and I'll say more about that in a few minutes. Because I believe that, well, people who are in funnel school with me, any of the Enlightening Expert schools with me, get as much of my full attention, my full presence as I can bring for them. So in the 8-week online training, this is what you get. Module number 1, the simplest technology for your best-selling webinar. People freak out about the technology and the systems that you need to have in place. And so that's why I teach it first. Let's handle it first. Let's get it out in the open. Let's clear the blocks and activate the energies that you need to wrap your imagination around this. So you're going to need an automation system. You have to have some way to take people's names and emails. You have to have some way to take their money. And then ultimately you need an affiliate system so that you can start to share the good news about your webinar training and your soul offer with joint venture partners or affiliate partners. You need to be able to record your webinar, and then you need a way to broadcast your webinar, and then auto replay your webinar when you go on Evergreen. Module number 2, we start to focus on your optimal sales, the 5 elements of your best-selling offer, the transformation you provide and your ability to articulate that with clarity, your deliverables, what do they actually get in your training and program, the bonus package, the incentive package, what is your guarantee, and then what is your price point. Module number 3 is who is your divine audience for your best-selling offer. What are the qualities, characteristics, and attributes of your divine audience? What makes your divine audience tick? What does your divine audience expect from you and for you? And who do you get to be to manifest your divine audience? We go over all of that. Modules number 4 and 5 is where we start to really get into creating your best-selling webinar. What's the actual template for your webinar? You know, the introduction, having a guest introduce you, then your own personal introduction to your audience, intro to your training, this is what we're going to do in this training today, intro to your free bribe, your hero story. All of that has to happen. And this is where I see a lot of people fall short. They go on and on and on. They either miss important pieces of this or they take too long. The introduction should be within 10 minutes. The best-selling webinars have all this happen very dramatically, intimately, within about 10 minutes. How you use case studies, the top mistakes or myths or traps that you see in your particular industry, and then what is your world-class content, how do you organize it, how do you share it, how do you teach it, the transition from your content into your offer, and then your best-selling offer. So we really take module number 4 and module number 5 to unpack that. So it's parts 1 and 2. Module number 6, the optimal registration for your best-selling webinar. How do we then reverse engineer and take what you're going to teach, the transformation they'll have during the webinar, and maximize people getting to register for that. And we really talk about story selling what is the actual email sequence, the structure of the email, your lead capture, your registration, lead capture, opt-in, squeeze pages, they're sometimes called, and then, you know, announcing your best-selling webinar event. Module number 7 is optimal attendance for your best-selling webinar, the indoctrination sequence. How do people get to know you, like you, and trust you as they're waiting for your webinar to start? How do you use the email reminders? Or do you use handouts or surveys to start to already engage them and print out so that they're ready to roll with you and people can fill them out as they go along? And then module number 8, the final module of our online training together, it's the optimal follow-up for your best-selling webinar. The live encores, is there a Cliff Notes video or email or web page? How you can use contest actually to get people to go back and watch the webinar training. And then what's the email sequence that you can use to follow up for your webinar? So that's the 8 elements. And then some bonuses for the Enlightening Expert Funnel School. It's the 3-day Enlightening Expert Funnel School live with me in Houston, Texas. And you get everything that you need in the online 8 weeks. And what we do in Funnel School live is we basically go over and work collectively through the entire process, really fine-tuning, honing, distilling your best-selling webinar so that it sings. It really strums with energy. And you don't have to come. It's not essential for you. That's why it's a bonus. But the people that come and make the effort and can come, what I know is that they take action sooner. They pull it together sooner, and they pull the trigger, and they actually run their best-selling webinar. Bonus number 2 is part of creating a automated sequence, an evergreen sequence, is how you use Facebook ads. Well, the foundation of every Facebook ad campaign is a fan page or a business page. And so I teamed up with my Facebook guru, Kurt Molly, who's done many, many million-dollar launches using Facebook ads. And we basically I went over and taught the Facebook fan page, how you set one up, how you set up a like campaign engagement to start to grow that. Now, like my evolutionary meditation fanbook page has about 24,000 people that have liked it. And so when I do a live webinar like this, I just post the information, you know, an image and the information about it. And I get people who register for my training just from that evolutionary meditation with Alan D. So, you know, if you're serious about automating all that, then that is a strategy that you're going to want to get to use. There's a learning curve to setting it up, but once it's up, it's pretty simple. And then Kurt shares with you his strategy for engaging people on Facebook and how you really build the engagement so people are really responding to you and what you post, and for your webinar trainings. And then bonus number 3 is a whole session on story selling and in your writing, and how you create emails that are telling stories, and how you then use those stories and those elements in your opt-in pages or registration pages, lead pages as we call them. So there's a whole separate 90-minute training on that. And then bonus number 4, there are actually 4 soul clearing and activation group sessions as a part of this training. And I think that's, not only do you get world-class strategy in Enlightening Expert Funnel School, not only do you get me focusing on you and with 12 other people on your business and your offer and your webinar, but this is what really separates me from many other teachers out there. that I offer 4 soul clearing and activation sessions. So we get on a webinar just like this, and you just bring your issues. What's up? What's stressing you out? What do you feel is blocking you? And we do a little work around that, and we do clearings and activations so that you can work through these old layers of programming. And I love doing them. You know, we sometimes on 2.5, 3 hours, just, you know, working until everybody's done, or I run out of juice, as it were. So here's a recap of everything that you get. You get the 8-week live online training webinar. It is everyday value of $8,000. You get the 3-day live event. That's $5,000 value. When I told you that Sheila Paxton came to Houston for her 3-day event, that's only how I offered it at the time, is 3 days, and she paid $5K for that. Everybody did. The Facebook ads tutorial with Kurt Molly, it's $997. He only shares that strategy with his top clients who pay $5,000 a month to work with him. The story selling emails, for the story selling for your emails and opt-in pages, that's $997. The 4 clearing, healing, and activation calls, that's $1997. I charge $1,500 one-on-one session for those experiences. And then the Enlightening Expert Facebook group, priceless, and lifetime access to the recordings of your training. So that's $16,000 value. The everyday investment for this program is $8,000. If you apply today, and you can only apply, I want to make sure that you're a good fit for the school and that I'm a good fit for you. If you apply today, you can have 2 payment options, 2 payments of $3,000 each, or a single payment of $5,000. Totally up to you. So to apply for the school, you can go to www.tinyurl.com/enlightening expert. And if you're going to give me a minute, I'm going to have to go to yeah, that's not what I want. I've got to open up my, sorry about this, thanks. There they are right there. You're going to want this in a minute for your bonus. So here you go. This is, I just put that in the for you. So I just put that in the chat for you, so that's there. So there's the link, tinyurl.com, Enlightening Expert. And I want to just say more about limited to 12 students. So some of you are thinking, wow, if I apply today, it's still 2 payments of $3,000, 1 payment of $5,000. I can tell you that there are several big online gurus that are selling how to create a best-selling webinar for is a $2,000 training, and they're great. They know what they're doing. They've made a lot of money, and they use webinars to do it. But I will tell you that they don't know about the spiritual industry. They don't know about enlightening experts. They don't know how to message what they do and what they say to our audience, to your divine audience. You get me to help you with that. And I'll also say that there is another person in the transformational space who is selling a webinar training. Now, he also sells his for $5,000 for the training. But when he offers it, the last time he offered it, there was 100 people in the program. And I'm here to tell you that I don't think it's possible to help 100 people craft a best-selling webinar and get their messaging clear, and, you know, without completely exhausting myself and driving myself crazy. So that's why I limit these Enlightening Expert funnel schools all my Enlightening Expert schools to 12 people at a time, because I want you to get the wisdom of the group, but to have as much of me and my attention focused on you and your business and your best-selling webinar and your offer and your signature program, your coaching package, whatever you choose to sell, as possible. Now, if you choose to apply today, I also want to give you an extra special bonus, and I've never done this before, but I will give you the recordings to the last signature course creation school that I offered earlier this year. So you'll have the 8 training calls that I did, and they're often anywhere from 90 minutes to 2.5 hours long. So you get that as a bonus. That's another $5,000 value if you apply today and are accepted into the course. You get all the other bonuses that I talked about, and including the recordings for the signature course. So if you feel like your signature course could be better and stronger, or if you haven't quite created it yet, then here's a bonus that'll help you do that. So again, the Enlightening Expert Funnel School is by application only. I put the link there in the chat box, and it's www.tinyurl.com enlightening-expert. So again, the everyday investment for this training is $8,000. If you apply today during this webinar only, it's 2 payments of $3,000 each, which is a total of $6,000, or a single payment of $5,000. Are there any comments or questions about the program, or about how the program can help you, or if you're a good fit for the program? And then the stay to the end bonus that I promised you, I'm going to put in the chat here. There you go, 5 elements of a soul solid offer. So that's my final promise to you, is a stay to the end bonus. And that's an 80-minute training that I did with Mark Porteous. And you'll see the link there, www.tinyurl.com/soul-offers. So here is another example of one of my clients. This is Brad Blanton. He is the author of Radical Honesty, and he is an old-time Gestalt therapist, and he hired me to actually help him design and create his signature course and then to launch it. And so we created the Radical Honesty Foundations course, and of course we created a best-selling webinar to launch his Foundations course into the world. So that's Brad Blanton. And this is, my client's really Adam Jalad, and his teacher, Mark Gaffney, and we're all 3 of us on the board of directors of the Center for Integral Wisdom. And they had a program called the Pleasure Map, and from the pleasures of the body and the pleasures of the emotions and relationships, the pleasures of, you know, working with a cause, having a purpose, and then the pleasures of enlightenment and all the different levels of pleasures of enlightenment. And then this is my student and friend, Denise Simpson, and she is an Enlightening Expert signature course alumni and Funnel School alumni. She is relatively new to the coaching world. She her body of work is what she calls courageous heart living. She created her online course, and she pre-sold the course and sold the course and had 10 students full paying students, and then plus some scholarships in addition to that for her Courageous Heart Living course. So this stuff really does work, people. So any comments or questions about the Enlightening Expert Funnel School? Would love to have you if you feel like it's a good fit for you. Again, you can go to tinyurl.com/enlightening-expert and apply for the training. And then we'll set up a time to talk. I'll review your application, your website, and just make sure you're a good fit, and we'll go from there. So just a recap of the offer. You get the 8-week live online training webinars, an $8,000 value. You get bonus number 1, the 3-day live event, $5K value. You get the bonus number 2, the Facebook ads tutorial. It really is how to set up a Facebook fan page and run a successful like campaign for that fan page. Mine is Evolutionary Meditation with Alan D. And then Kurt Molly gives his engagement process that he uses with his $5,000 a month Facebook ad clients, and then does a little bit on targeting. How do you target people in Facebook? Bonus number 3 is on story selling and how you use stories to engage people in email, creating great subject lines, creating great emails that get people to click on a link. And then once they click on a link and they go to an opt-in page to register for your webinar, it's like, what is that? What's the qualities and elements of a best-selling opt-in page, excuse me, a successful opt-in page. Bonus number 5, bonus number 4, you get the 4 clearing, healing, and activation calls. Enlightening Expert Facebook group, lifetime access to the recordings. I cannot stress the value of the 3-day live event, of being able to come to that. And so the value is $17,000. And then in addition, if you apply today, you also get the recordings to my Enlightening Expert Signature Course Creation School, which people pay $5,000 to attend. So you get the recordings of that. So love to have you apply for the Enlightening Expert Funnel School, www.tinyurl.com, enlightening-expert. So thank you so much for your time, your attention. I appreciate your engagement and investment and energy. Almost everybody that signed on to the call is still here. So that's really, really inspiring. Thank you. I've wanted to be of service to you. I've wanted to model and demonstrate everything that I'm teaching to you. And if you would like your own best-selling webinar, I would love for you to join us. So please go to www.tinyurl.com, enlightening-expert. You can click on the link there in the chat box, and would love to see you in the training. Love to see you in Houston for that 3-day live event. So if there are no other specific questions, then great. Thank you so much. Keep shining like 10,000 suns, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.